It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday. Rainy, gray, with the smell of wet asphalt and other people's umbrellas. I came home from work, soaked to the skin, and my mind was empty as usual. Home was supposed to be a refuge. But that night, something was off. I remember stopping at the door, key in hand, and suddenly feeling the air was different. Too warm, too full of flavors that hadn't been there before. And not just food, a lavender perfume. Wine. Candles. I walked in. Rachel stood in the kitchen in a red blouse, heels on. Her hair was done. Makeup, not at-home makeup, but I'm on my way to an interview at a fancy startup. On the table, a bottle of wine, our favorite pasta, set for two. And a new bag. Expensive. Branded. "Hi," she said, as if nothing had happened. "Guess who got the consulting job?" I was just standing in the hallway, dripping rainwater on the floor. "What? Didn't you, You said you were out of options for now." "Well, things have changed. Startups. They need UX advice. I've been at this for years, remember? Who knew freelancing was back in vogue?" She clinked glasses, opened the wine, laughed. But her eyes, something about them was too flat. Like she was practicing. We sat down at the table. She talked about the young, idea-hungry funder, the first call, the informal meeting at the cafe. They paid in advance. In cash. It was easier for them. No paperwork. They're literally starting from the garage, she winked. How much? 800. For an hour. Well, for the consultation and the idea for the MVP. I choked on my wine. Are you sure this isn't a scam? Matt, you're always so suspicious, she grinned. It's just that people value experience. Sometimes it happens. But there was a tremor in her voice. Almost elusive. Later, she went to take a shower. I stayed in the kitchen. The place is in perfect order. Laptop in place. Zero paper. Not a single sheet. Just her new bag, neatly placed on a chair. I couldn't help myself. I peeked. It was empty. Totally empty. Like she'd just come from the store. No keys, no business cards, no notes. Not even a handkerchief. At night I lay staring at the ceiling. Her breathing next to me, steady. I tried to convince myself it was okay. She'd made it. She found herself. But the itch in my chest was growing. The next morning. She popped out of the bedroom before me, in a business suit, with a cup of coffee. "I have to go," she said. "They're having a rally at the Amazon campus. I have to be there by 10. Amazon?" I nodded. Pretended to believe it. But my insides were already clicking. When she came out, I went to the nightstand. I took out the AirTag that came with the new car keys. Small, like a coin. Discreet. Opened her bag. Put it inside. Closed it. And sat down to wait. An hour later, I checked my phone. She wasn't on the Amazon campus. She was in an industrial area. On the outskirts. Where warehouses and logistics and tire shops are. I looked at the map. The dot was flashing. Not a restaurant. Not a co-working space. I got in my car and drove there. Gray neighborhood. The signs are faded. The building is brick, shabby plaster. Unmarked door. The windows are bars. I stood in the car, watching. 20 minutes later, she came out. Same bag. Her face a strange mixture of tiredness and relief. She got into an Uber and drove off. Back home, same picture again. Wine. Smiles. She heated up some pasta. "It's a terrible day," she said. "These startups don't know what they want." I was just saving their presentation. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. But that night I looked at her for the first time and didn't recognize her. Flashback, I remember how we met. She was a journalist. She said, "I want stories to save people." Then working at an agency. Burnout. Getting fired. Silence. Sleepless nights. Wine on weekdays. And then, suddenly, the upswing. I wanted to be happy. But I thought I was looking at a person who had disappeared, and was now playing the role of wife. She was asleep on the couch. I walked over. Watched. Hair on her face. Hand clenched into a fist. Around her neck, a thin chain that wasn't there before. With a heart-shaped pendant. I touched it. On the back is an L. Not an R. Not Rachel. I stood frozen. Who's Lori? And who the hell has my wife become? The morning began with the smell of coffee and music. Which was already suspicious. Rachel woke up before me. Usually I'm in the kitchen in my underwear, brewing coffee and reading the news on my phone. This one's all set. Coffee in a mug. Toast. Even the music in the background is James Blake. Her playlist. She was wearing a white blouse, makeup and red lipstick. Too perfect for 8 a.m. Good morning, sleepyhead, she said, laughing. I made you breakfast. I froze for a second. It was like I'd gotten a life switch. Or maybe it was a dream. Like someone had pressed restart, but hadn't removed the traces of the old version. Thank you, I replied and sat down. She was bustling around, pouring orange juice. She looked up. I have an important meeting today. With those guys I told you about. They're at the Amazon campus down south. Oh, wow, I tried to keep a neutral face. Progress. I can't believe it. But they're cool. They're smart. And most importantly, trustworthy. She kissed me on the temple, took my bag, the empty one, and left. I stayed in the kitchen. The music was still playing. In my head, there was only one thing, a lie. Or a secret. Or both. I picked up my phone. Checked AirTag. Not the Amazon campus. Not even close. 40 minutes after leaving, she was at the same location, industrial area, street with no name. The same one from yesterday. She was there yesterday and today. I decided, I'm going. I couldn't stand it if I didn't see her myself. On the way, I remembered how she used to scold me if I looked at other women. How angry she used to get if I was late. How she once said in anger, I won't forgive you for lying. Never. And now it's the other way around. She's become the one who leaves in the morning, comes back with money and smiles without context. I drove up to the building. Same brick walls, same bars. Not a single logo. No lettering. Just a couple of women at the entrance, one with a baby stroller. Another with a black eye. I exhaled. And that's when the door opened. Rachel. Still the same, confident, quick, with her phone in her hand. She nodded to someone at the entrance and walked down the street. A couple minutes later, she got into an Uber. And disappeared. I didn't follow her. I went home. Tonight she was like something out of another movie. Pasta with porcini mushrooms. Chocolate fondue. Even candles. I figured Friday was an excuse to treat us, she said and winked. It's Wednesday. Well, almost, she laughed. Again, an empty bag. No laptop. No flash drive. Not a single word about real work. Just vintage stories and silly startups. What have you been up to? She asked. Worked. Wandered around a bit. Stopped at a car wash. Same as always, she smiled. I could feel my internal compass going crazy. I couldn't get my bearings. Everything felt like it was okay, and not okay at the same time. I didn't sleep that night. I remembered how she reacted when I said, useless people. The one time she snapped and screamed. Everybody has a past, Matt. It's not everybody's fault. I thought at the time, who is she talking about? The next day, I didn't check AirTag. I just sat at home pretending to work. She came home at 6 o'clock. Happy again. Smile. A new handkerchief. And the smell of someone else's cologne on her coat. Sitting in the conference room, she said. A colleague was next to her, and they were discussing a plan. One colleague? Well, yes, 3 of them. But mostly him. I didn't ask any more questions. Just watched her kick off her heels and go into the shower. Bare back. A mole on her shoulder. Same body I know. But inside, a stranger. I went to see Tom. My friend. Do you think she's cheating on you? He asked me. No. But, she seems to have something. Something different. Have you ever not trusted her? No. But now. She's not with me. She's just around. Tom poured a whiskey. You want to know the truth? I do. Then dig. But be prepared that the truth isn't something you made up. I came home. She was already asleep. I went to her desk. Opened the laptop. Password is still my birthday. Email. Nothing. Browser history is clean. But there's one email in my drafts. Unsent. Thank you, Ms. Laurie. You saved my daughter from a life no one deserves. If it weren't for you, we'd be gone. I froze. Laurie? Who's Laurie? The letter is addressed to her. But the name wasn't hers. Or, not the name I knew. I've been Googling all night. The building where she was. There's a mention on one forum. Center for Women Survivors of Domestic Violence. No address. By request only. Staff under pseudonyms. My heart was pounding. Rachel didn't work with funders. She was saving someone. But why was she keeping quiet? And why I didn't know? That morning, I just stared at her while she got ready. You're not cheating, I said as she tied her scarf. She froze. But everything looks like that. She didn't answer. Just stared. If only it were that simple, she whispered. And she left. And I stayed in the kitchen. With coffee. With a letter that wasn't for me. With a woman I no longer understood. The night was deafening. The kind where even the streetlight doesn't seem to shine on you. When you lie staring at the ceiling and thoughts slowly creep over your skin like ice water. Rachel was asleep. I could hear her breathing, even, almost soundless. She slept as if there wasn't an ounce of anxiety in her. Like there wasn't a rift growing in this house and her husband wasn't trying to figure out what his wife was lying about every minute. I picked up my phone. Flipped through her photos. The last ones were the standard ones, us on a trip, glasses, smiles, sunset. Then silence. Several months without new pictures. Like someone had cut out a piece of her life and put something else in it. I opened her laptop again. The password hadn't changed. She was either sure I wouldn't get in, or she wanted me to see for myself. Nothing in her inbox. But I knew where to look. Drafts. That's where it was. It was a short letter. No address, no signature. Thank you, Ms. Laurie. You saved my daughter from a life no one deserves. If it weren't for you, we'd be gone. I reread it 20 times. The word saved cut me in the eye. Saved by who? From whom? Why Ms. Laurie? I tried to remember if I'd ever heard that name from her before. No. Not once. Not in conversation, not on the phone. Laurie is someone else's name. Not hers. Or so I thought. So I Google it. I typed in the address of the building where she was. And that's when the puzzle started to come together in a very strange way. On some old forum where people were discussing safe places for abusive victims, I found one post. It was hidden. Closed. But thanks to the cache, a snippet remains. If someone works or helps out at that center on 16th Street, they don't use real names. It's part of the security program. I met a woman there, Laurie. She helped me get out. If it wasn't for her. Laurie. 16th Street. Industrial area. No sign. I felt a chill creep up my spine. Rachel, she wasn't just lying to me. She wasn't just freelancing. She was part of something much bigger. And dangerous. I went there again. This time, not just to watch. I wanted to go in. I wanted to talk. Find someone. To hear. Make sure. I knocked on the door. For a long time. Silence. After a minute, a woman opened it. Glasses, stern. Looked like a library administrator. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Lori," I said. "We don't have one," she replied instantly. "Please, I just want to know if she's okay." "Who are you to her?" "Husband." Pause. A heavy one. She closed the door halfway. But then she spoke. "No one here uses real names. Not even me. And no one has the right to ask who works here." "Please," I repeated. I didn't know anything. I suspected the worst. And she just didn't say. The woman looked at me intently. "You're not the only one. Believe me. Sometimes you have to become someone else to survive. Lori helped a lot of people. Including the girl her father kept locked up for 3 years. I froze. What? She took her out. By herself. Dressed up as a nurse. Went into the house. Took the baby out. Is that Rachel? She didn't say anything. I knew it was. I went outside. My head was ringing. This wasn't the woman I ate pasta with. Not the one I'd watched TV shows with, discussed vacuum cleaners and vacations. This was someone else. Someone who had pain, fear, other people's darkness in her life. And yet, she was a lifesaver. Saving me when I didn't even know someone was drowning. I got home. She was already there. In the kitchen. Making scrambled eggs. In her robe. Her eyes were tired. And tenderness. I stood in the doorway and watched. As silent guilt rolled over in me, as I felt every moment when I suspected her of cheating. When I counted the money. When I tossed the AirTag. I began. "You're not my wife." She froze. I took a step closer. "You're someone's savior." She didn't say a word. But I saw something inside her collapse. "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have understood?" "I wish I had. It's not something you share at dinner." She sat down. Slowly. Like her strength had gone. "I didn't cheat on you, Matt. I just stopped being me. Because that me wasn't working out. Lori." I took my mom's name. No one listened to her when she asked for help either. I wanted someone to hear it, at least through me. I sat next to her. Silently. "I'm sorry I suspected. I'm sorry I didn't say anything." And we just sat there. Like two people who had finally stopped hiding. I didn't sleep that night. I took that draft. With the letter from Sarah. I printed it out. I framed it. Hung it on the wall next to our wedding picture. Now I knew who Rachel was. And I knew why I wanted to be around her. I didn't know how to act around her now. It used to be simple. "How's work going? Do you want dinner at 7 or later? Who's taking out the trash?" Now there's silence between us. But not resentment. It's more than that. More weighty. I made her coffee this morning. Just like I used to do when we first met. Same 2 sugars. The same favorite green glass labeled "Queen of Everything" that she always put away, so she wouldn't break it. She stepped into the kitchen. Hair carelessly gathered, in a robe. Eyes, no longer hiding anything. "Is this for me?" she asked, taking the cup. I nodded. We both knew it wasn't just coffee. It was a confession. "I'm not asking you to explain anything," I said quietly. "But if you ever want to, I'll be here for you. Always." She didn't answer. She just looked at me. And in those eyes, for the first time in a long time, I saw that she was still mine. Even if she's become something more. A couple days later, I found a drawing in her drawer. A child's. Simple strokes, a girl and a woman with a heart on her chest. Signed, "Thank you, Lori." I sat with that sheet in my hands and felt everything change. It wasn't just a fact. This was a life she had saved. For real. I framed the drawing and put it on the shelf. Between our books. Between the before and the after. That evening she said. I thought you'd leave. When you found out. I thought you'd push me away. When you'd realize how little I knew. I was afraid that if I started talking, you wouldn't see me as the person you lived with. I saw more. We sat in silence. She ate ice cream with a spoon straight from the carton, just like old times. And I watched her as if I were falling in love again. But this time with a person, not an image. This weekend, she said. Do you want to come with me? Where to? Downtown. I froze. I shouldn't. It's, confidential. You're not going in. You're just gonna look. So you know where I am. So there's no shadows. We're on our way. Industrial area, no sign, high fence. And yet it's warm. As if there were a fire inside that kept those who were exhausted warm. She came out, turned around. I'm not a superhero, Matt. I just, couldn't watch them drown. I know. And she left. And I stayed, in the car, with a strange calm inside. Because for the first time, I knew where she was. And why. That evening I met her at her house. She was tired, her hands red from the frost. But her eyes were at peace. How did it go? One of the girls left today. To a new place. With keys. With silence. Is that good? That's life. We hugged. I never knew that silence could be louder than confessions. One night at dinner, I said. You know, I still don't understand how you could, like that. Just stand up and save someone. She put the fork down. Do you know how many times I wished someone would stand up and save me? When I was a kid. When I was a student. At my first job where the boss grabbed my arm and said, "Don't be boring, Rachel." No one stood up. I looked into people's eyes and I knew they'd turn away. So there I was, vowing to myself to be the one who didn't look away. I didn't say a word. Because anything I could have said didn't seem enough. I won't look away anymore, was all I could squeeze out. She touched my hand. Even if I'm not Lori. Especially if. After a month, she started talking more. About Sarah, the woman who had written the letter. About Claire, her daughter, who always hid under the bed when she heard the adult's footsteps. She fell asleep for the first time without tears. She just fell asleep. And I cried more than ever. Because I realized what had happened. Because I saw what victory looked like. We went on vacation. A little lake house. No internet. No plans. There she got a little journal. A simple, square diary. That's all I couldn't tell you. But I wrote. To herself. I didn't read it. I just held it in my hands. And I felt inside, more than I'd ever known about her. When we got back, I saw her open the letter. A new one. From another woman. The same gratitude. The same words, "You didn't let me disappear." I said. I want to help. Not as a hero. As a husband. She smiled. Then just be there for me. It's already more than you realize. I knew now, she hadn't cheated on me. She had cheated on herself. To survive. To save. And that was her truth. It wasn't about the ending. It was about the silence that remained between us, but was no longer a threat. I used to hear fear in that silence. Now I heard trust. Every morning she left for work. In a warm sweater, with a mug of coffee in a thermos. I knew she was going to the place where fates are broken, where children cry, where women regain their right to vote. And I knew she wasn't going because she wanted to be a hero. She's going because she can't not go. And I was waiting for her tonight. Not as a husband checking in. But as a partner who realizes that it's not just a spouse at the door. It's a person who's enduring more than she should. I walked into the room one day and saw her sitting on the floor. Next to her, a stack of drawings. Children's drawings. One was a girl and a dog. Another was just the word, Mom. The third had a son and two figures signed, Lori and me. She didn't notice me come in. She was staring at one point. No tears on her face, no smile. Just, silence. I sat down next to her. Are you okay? She nodded. Very slowly. Sometimes I wonder, what if someone had given me a second chance when I was drowning, too? I didn't know what to say to that. Because the truth was, I didn't. I was there, but I didn't see her. I only took her hand. And she squeezed mine, so tightly, like all she had was that touch. We went to an appreciation night at the center. A private event. No cameras. No coverage. Just survivors. And those who helped them survive. One woman said, I don't know what an angel looks like. But when Lori knocked on my door and said, you have a choice, I believed it. Rachel lowered her eyes. I could see it was hard for her to hear praise. She wasn't used to it. She's used to the struggle. And then Claire, that girl, came over and held out a drawing. It had our dog on it. Just the two of us. And in the corner, a heart that said, Lori is family. It was the first time I'd ever seen Rachel's lips quiver. The next day, she brought me a box. It's for you. What is it? Everything I couldn't tell you. Diaries. Notes. Checklists. Even a what to take in case of an emergency list. I didn't open the box right away. I just held it to my chest. Because I knew it was more than the truth. It's trust. It's been a while. We didn't become different. We've become real. She still leaves early, she still comes late. I still don't ask too many questions. But we have a different ritual now. Every Sunday morning we sit by the window with coffee. I read the paper. She draws. Not saving. Not counseling. She just paints. Flowers. People. Sometimes streets. I asked him once. Why? Because there's enough pain in the world. And I want to bring beauty back into it. I hung one of her drawings in my office. It's of a house. With a lantern. And inside, two silhouettes. Here is safe. In the evening, we were lying next to each other. I asked. Will you ever forgive me for what you suspected? She smiled. Will you ever forgive me for not trusting you enough to tell you right away? We've both learned. To live. To be. Before she went to bed, she whispered. You know, Matt. I was afraid then, in the beginning, that I'd lose you. That you'd leave when you saw that I wasn't just a wife, but, something more. And now. I realize that you stayed. Not because you have to. It's because you want to. I pulled her closer. I didn't know who you were saving. But now I know who I love.